Welcome to Business Mentorship, Keepin It Real, where we introduce corporate leaders who have taken the leap to business owner and participate with their great idea in our guest blog found on shareyourstories.online. Our guest joins us from Burlington, Ontario. Layne is an advocate for social impact, whose work as the Auctionista has raised over $40 million for charity. Let's find out why this speaker, auctioneer, and workshop facilitator made a pivot from financial advisor to center stage. It's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Layne.
Good morning.
And how are you today?
I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Yeah, every day is
ready for the weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, you know what, Trish, I have a very rare weekend off, and you know, my gala season is very, very intense, but there are usually no galas on a special weekend. So we've got Mother's Day coming up, right, and people are very involved with that, as they should be, honoring all the moms and grandmas and sisters and all the beautiful people in the world. So guess what? It's a weekend off.
It's a weekend off. There you go. Well, yeah. You know what? Based on my own experience, you have a larger than life personality, which you share on stage. When did you decide to grab the mic as an auctioneer?
Well, I completely fell into that. Everybody who knows my story knows that I became an auctioneer because somebody told me I could never do it. So the backstory is this. I mean, I was a financial advisor at the time. I believe I was approximately 46 years old when I attended my very first charity fundraising gala. I had never attended anything like that. You know, I am a child of immigrants. I grew up very much in my culture. I'm Latvian, so you know, we did a lot of like that church basement thing, very culturally oriented. And even as I grew into my adult life, I never found myself in a space where I was involved with, you know, charitable endeavors kind of outside of that cultural space. So we have a very good friend who's an executive director of a charity. And they said, why don't you and Susie, my wife Sue, why don't you come to this dinner auction? We do it every year. And honestly, I was like, sure, of course we're going to go. I have no idea
what to expect.
No, I mean, when I said, so we bring a wallet, right? Is that how it works? Like, honestly, it was truly that thing. So walked into that, you know, that space, saw all the Afghans and home decor things and all the papers. And I didn't even know that was a silent auction. But what the real moment was for me is when the auctioneer took the stage. Of course, I had no idea what an auctioneer was. I didn't know what to expect, but it was tough. It was a really tough performance. And I didn't know the guy was a livestock auctioneer. But now I know that he was just like, you know, did you ever watch the Flintstones as a kid?
Of course.
Okay. Do you remember when Wilma runs through the house and all you see is table, lamp, chair, chair?
Yeah.
That's how the auction was.
Oh no.
Bicycle, toaster, bicycle, piece of art. And he was just moving product. Of course he was, because Buddy was a livestock auctioneer.
Right.
He's not trained in inspiring giving and in enticing an audience to connect with the cause. That wasn't the case. So through this 2 hours of
whirlwind,
like torture of auction, I turned to my wife and I said, I'm pretty sure I could do that. She's like, Layne, come on, honey. You're a financial advisor. Like, you don't know the first thing about auctions. I said, I'm going to figure this out. So I walked backstage. I chatted with the auctioneer and I said, hi, my name is Layne. How do I learn to do what you just did? And Trish, this is the absolute truth. He looked me up and down and he said these 8 words. Hey, little missy. Of course.
Oh yeah, the radar goes up then.
Those 3 words hold a lot. They hold the meaning of, you know, first of all, a bit of misogyny there,
A
a wee bit, lots of discrimination there. Also, you know, lots of feelings. So the other other 5 words were, so it says, "Hey, little Missy, this is a generational job."
Love it.
And that meant to me, you're not welcome.
That's right.
You don't fit.
That's
We
right.
don't want you.
That's right.
In that very moment, the spark was lit. And I said to myself, nobody puts baby Layne in the corner, and I'm going to figure this thing
Out.
out.
Yeah.
And I was obsessed with it for 8 months. I researched, I watched YouTube videos, and I signed myself up for auction school in Midwest Iowa, Mason City, Iowa.
Wow.
And I drove to auction school in the dead of winter and started figuring this
And
out.
figured it out. You know what I love is that you do it based on stories, right? It's not selling livestock. Like, we're not doing, this is not supposed to be a mundane kind of, you know, whirlwind experience. You make it really fun.
Well, thank you. So you've talked about two different things. The fun factor, for sure. You know, if it's not fun, Layne doesn't do it. That's just the way it is. I am very connected, Trish, to my inner child, and I honor that little person, because that little person allows me to be the best version of myself. Let me explain. So many people forget to look at life through those wondrous childlike eyes, to just go for it, to feel free. And, you know, when a kid wakes up in the morning and they're staring over their crib and looking at mommy going, what are we going to do today?
Yeah.
I can't wait for today. And that's really how I look at life. I want to play, have fun, do meaningful things, hang out with the people I want to. And I'm a 4-year-old in a 61-year-old body. So that's the fun side of things. I just let myself be. With the storytelling piece, yes. You know, we as humans connect on a very deep emotional level. And that's where the magic happens in, you know, philanthropy and giving of our time and resources and empathizing. So, you know, once I was a financial advisor, and once I went to this auction, I was like, wow, this fundraising thing is cool. And then I became a fundraiser, a director of development. So my fundraising lens comes from, you know, this double vision of like a performer, auctioneer, knowing how to raise money, but also understanding the importance of who is in the room, the donors, the supporters, and how we respect them and we're gracious, and all the attitude of gratitude. And of course, you know, really honoring those individuals that are up there standing there talking about the impact of what that charity has done for their lives. So yeah, I mean, this job is perfectly designed for who Layne is as a human being.
How did you figure that out? Because I have to tell you, you know, you mentioned inner child, and I don't know how many times I've woken up in the morning and I've seen something on a social media post that says, you know, tackle the day like a 3-year-old wearing a Batman cape. And I think, wow, I mean, we all do that when we're kids. You know, we all dress up, right? We all play that we're make believe. The world of make believe is so amazing when we're little. But all of a sudden, as we age, we forget to have fun. We forget that life doesn't need to be so serious. So how did you figure that out?
Well, life is serious, and we know that. There are mortgage payments, there are financial stressors, you know, children, all the things. I have all those things in my life, right? As every single human does. I've had multiple traumas in my life. I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I've had financial trauma. I've had a double mastectomy, hysterectomy. I did that as a you know, prophylactic surgery so that I would not have cancer. I lost my mom at 62. It's been relentless. So I have all those things. But I think what I do differently is that I have found a career, and many of us spend, so you think about, there are 168 hours in a week. We work for 40 of those and we sleep for 40 of those. And it is, so the work piece, if you're not happy and loving what you do, that is going to drag you down. If you're not spending your extracurricular hours, recharging, focusing on your own personal wellness, being with people that you actually want to be with, then yeah, we lose sight of that playful side. So it's interesting because I did an event recently and was spending some time in the green room with an anesthesiologist, a very highly touted anesthesiologist. And after I came back to the green room from my performance of raising money, she said to me, Layne, you have accessed your internal pharmacy, which so many people can't. And so let me unwrap that for you a little bit. When stress takes over us, and trauma and difficult times, many of us, we're seeking for ways to fill our bodies back up with endorphins.
That's right.
Oxytocin, serotonin. It could be a glass of vino. Maybe it's a little smoke of something. Maybe we're seeking those things to make us feel good. And what she was saying is, Layne, you do a job that every time you take the stage, every time you do that work, your body is naturally filling itself with these endogenous opioids, which make you feel good and make you, I am on a literal high with the work that I do because I love it so much. And I've created this business and also this structure in my business that makes me happy because I'm not a 9-to-5er. I used to be. And I had to at one point tell my boss, look, I don't do mornings. I'm going to show up at 9. I'm going to do your team huddle. I'm going to sit in my office and like drink coffee till 10:30 because I literally can't do it. And then I'm going to come alive. So in the job that I have, I work evenings. I don't like mornings, so I don't work mornings. I don't take a first meeting until 11. And so I've been able to
make it work,
curate, so that I'm the happiest little Layne that can possibly ever be.
Well, you know what? Congrats to you, because I think our viewing and listening audience is going to tap into a few really key things that you shared there. And that is, whatever you need to do needs to make you happy. I mean, we all have those responsibilities in life, but being able to tap into the thing that recharges your batteries and gives you that kind of, we'll call it joie de vivre. I mean, who doesn't want to feel like that every day? Who doesn't want to feel like the kid wearing the Batman cape, right? I mean, we all do. So kudos to you for figuring it out.
Well, thank you. And, as we age, Trish, and I am aging, I'm a senior citizen now.
Me too.
Me too. And as we go further into our senior years, it's just as, it's actually more important to play. And play at that stage could be social connections, meeting your friends for a coffee. Many folks, as they age, they begin to isolate. Maybe it's their health. Maybe they're not able to get out as much. But you've got to keep up the play factor, because that is going to help ward off depression. It's going to help you keep connected with people and find value in your day-to-day. It's critically important. Play is not just for kids. And I hate when people say that, oh, that's just child's play. And I'm like, boom, you're out of my life. See ya. You go do you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's just it. I mean, I think if we all had a little bit of play in each and every day, the world would be a whole different place, because that whole situation of when you feel good and you have that bubbling up in your personality, you can't help but share it with everybody that you meet. Right?
It's right. And And the truth is that we all go through hills and valleys
Absolutely.
in our lives, right?
Yep.
And me too. There have been times that I have just been like, wow, it's hard. It's hard to find the play factor. And
Yep.
sometimes you have to give yourself a little grace to say, today's a really hard day.
Yeah.
And today may not be my best day, but it's okay. We're
That's right.
humans. We feel all those feels, but sights on the light, that's on your next step. So many people focus on like what's 15 miles down the road, and I say, focus on where your headlight beam
Yeah.
ends
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
just get to that place in a positive manner. Don't worry and worry and worry about, what you don't have control of right now.
No, that's very true. Now, one of the things that I noticed, you did a recent social media post where you were talking about a feature, how you and your team have been featured in a magazine talking about DEIB training, a workshop that you do. Perhaps you can share with our viewing and listening audience, not only what does the acronym mean, but what's the workshop all about?
Sure, thank you. DEIB stands for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Trish, I have been a stage performer. I have been moving audiences to action for 15 years of my life, and I love my work. In this third act of my career, I really felt strongly, and I feel very strongly about kind of taking my voice beyond the ballroom now. Through my lived experience as a non-binary individual in the event space, and not just the event space, as a non-binary individual in this world,
In the world.
and how I have felt navigating that, the good, the bad, the ugly. And, for we know that, belonging is something we all need as human beings, to feel a part of something, not just included. Included is like, yeah, Trish, you're going to be included. We're going to this concert together. Belonging is a completely different state of mind.
Yeah.
Belonging is like, if I've had a day full of microaggressions, people whispering at me, people looking at me or saying, "Are you a man or a woman?" Um, that sense of belonging when I open my doors at home and I can be completely myself, at ease and free. That is the sense of belonging. And that is very different than just being included in something. So when, we're talking about workplaces, we are striving towards fostering not just inclusion, but fostering belonging. So our DEIB training, and DEIB training, that's a kind of a blanket statement. There are so many things that are,
Components.
components. So cultural, religious, all of these intersections. The slice of DEIB training that we deliver is around gender identity. And so our goal is to deliver this training with in a very different way, because it's not a lecture.
It's got to be fun.
It's it
If
is
you're
fun.
doing
So
it, it's got to be fun.
yes, exactly.
Right?
It's fun and serious all at the same time.
Mhm.
So, lots of role playing, lots of group discussion, a lot of gamification, and a lot of interaction, because that's just who I am as an individual. But here's the interesting piece, is that I deliver a lot of personal storytelling as it aligns with the content, to really give that full meaning and impact, right?
Mhm.
I'm there with a team from a workplace, and I'm sharing some pretty deep stuff.
Right.
And really allowing individuals to get a deeper, behind the curtain understanding of, just like, yes, a non-binary person is this. And you know what, when you approach people, say your pronouns and offer yours, and that creates welcoming space. Yes, all very true. But let's give some, you know real life context to that. And that's where I share a lot about my personal journey. And I think that that really, number one, it connects me to the group of people that I'm working with, and that's extremely meaningful for me. I've never been this Layne's a vendor, auctioneer. No, I want to be part of the team. I want to feel it. I want to sink into it and be there 100%. So we were featured in Canadian Business Magazine in their spring issue, which I'm very grateful for. I'm also grateful to Tammy Fox from Burlington Performing Arts Center, who was interviewed in that interview. So Tammy, if you're watching today, mwah, thank you for the very kind words. We had a tremendous training session with the BPAC team, and it was a wonderful experience. So we're really, really proud that we have been showcased in that magazine. And, you know, I think if people don't subscribe to that, I think that we probably have a link in our link tree in my Instagram bio where folks can read that. It's very, very important work, you know, considering the state of affairs of our world right now and how, you know, disconnected and you know, there's a lot of hate out there, and we want to dispel that, and we want to work towards becoming, you know, closer, letting the differences between us, just, you know, letting those go and understanding we're all human. We all have a beating heart, and we all have a need to feel connected.
For sure. And this, I mean, the sense of belonging comes from breaking barriers, right? Regardless of the situation, we all need to break down the barriers for belonging. And I think that's really important work in itself. So kudos to you for, you know, extending a new revenue stream into your business, but also too, taking a bit of yourself and putting yourself out there, because we all know that, you know, when you put yourself out there, you put yourself out there for a lot of criticism. There's people who are going to love you and hate you, and you got to ride the wave and, you know, take it in stride and keep doing what you're doing. So kudos to you and your team.
Well, really every day I am bullied online every single day, every single day.
That's so sad, you know,
and I don't read it. And I have a wonderful team that protects my heart and my soul. And they just look after that, delete it, and make sure
that out of sight, out of mind, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's not healthy to read that stuff, because then you start believing it, and then that forms, you know, you start feeling that maybe your confidence starts to deplete. You start looking at your value. You start feeling imposter syndrome, and I don't want that for myself.
No, for sure. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that maybe you've never been asked before, and that is, you know, one of the things that we do in this entire platform, and the reason why we share the stories, is not only to introduce the person behind the logo, but so that you can be a mentor and inspire somebody else who might be thinking, you know, oh my gosh, I can't do that. But you know what? Hey, if Layne can do it, I can do it. So have you ever had somebody that you were able to look up to, like somebody, maybe you've never met this person, but maybe you saw them somewhere and you thought, wow, that's a really cool individual. You know what? I can do that too. Regardless of the situation where you had the little missy, you know, you can't do this. Which obviously catapulted you into a new career. But can you share with our viewing and listening audience somebody that you said, you know what, that's a really unique individual, and why not model my behavior after them?
The first person that comes to my mind is Dr. Samantha Nutt, who is the founder of War Child. I've known Sam for many years. We've worked together on many fundraising efforts. And I've always known Sam to be the most incredible humanitarian that I have ever met. She is a medical doctor as well. But I'm going to tell you a little bit of backgrounder on why I think she so profoundly affects me. And I'm actually getting a little teary. And I don't usually get teary, but I'm feeling quite teary right now about Sam. Not only is she an incredible humanitarian, I had an opportunity to spend several hours in a green room with Sam. We were doing an event together. I was hosting the event and she was the keynote speaker. And we've had lunches and we've had, you know, times together, but we really got into some profound conversations. And I learned some things about Sam that completely blew my mind, about, you know, the way that she goes into live war zones to support women and children. And, you know, anybody who is piquing their interest about what I'm saying right now, you need to know who Dr. Samantha Nutt is. She's one of our most incredible Canadians. I ran into Sam quite by accident. I was coming back from a hospital gala from Vancouver, flying back Tuesday, this Tuesday. And I was in the Vancouver airport and I was coming down the hall. I was coming out of a store and I heard somebody, Layne, 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 Layne. And I look around and it's none other than in the Starbucks lineup is Dr. Sam Nutt and her colleague, Barbara Harmer, backpacks on their backs. And we had a chat and I said, where are you coming from? They had meetings in Los Angeles and they were heading to Ottawa. And then from Ottawa, Sam was heading to Afghanistan. And, you know, she can be in LA at a high-level donor event speaking about the work of War Child. Incredibly articulate, so smart. And then to go to Ottawa and do all the lobbying things, advocacy, and then go with combat boots, with a backpack, in and be front line.
Amazing.
She is my shiro. Wow. She's my shiro.
That's really amazing. See, isn't it? And you know what I love? I love the connection that you made as humans, because you've made an incredible connection with somebody who inspires you to be a better person. But I bet you it's reciprocal. I bet you what you shared with her, she's going, hey, Layne's a pretty kick-ass kind of gal. You know what? Like, I find her inspiring. And the fact that you've been able to share a stage together is pretty cool, because I think you could feed off of each other's energy then in terms of inspiration. Right?
Well, that's true. I think we have deep, deep mutual love and respect for each other. Yeah. We've become friends over time. And you will see, and anybody that scrolls through my social media, any pictures of Sam and I, we're always kissing and hugging. There's a very unique closeness that we share.
That's really amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you for really keeping it real with us as well. I know that sometimes can be very difficult. And I think that the energy that you're projecting really talks about the deep connection that you have with her. And I thank you for that. To share with our viewing and listening audience, we always ask folks to talk about words of advice. And why don't we wrap up our discussion today by you sharing why your words of advice are so important to you? And that is, you know yourself best.
100%. 100%. You know, many times throughout my career, I've been asked to do things differently. And that could be something like, you've got to work 9 to 5 because that's the expectation. No, I'm going to speak up about that and say, hey, you know what? I'm not really at my best between 9 a.m. and 10:30. Right. So how about we do this? I have been asked to wear different clothes because maybe some people don't understand that my gender expression is my own and I'm comfortable in it. I've been asked to do all kinds of different things. And I simply do not waver.
Good for you.
Because I know myself best. I know what Layne needs to be the best version of themselves, to be true to myself, both in business and personally. Because when we are authentically ourselves, when we are completely comfortable in our skin, then that is truly when we are the best version of ourselves, and we can fly and soar to whatever heights we imagine for ourselves.
That is so true. And you know what, Layne? I love the fact that that you stick to the credo of you know yourself best, because that takes courage and conviction. Because I think we all have been in situations in life where we try to conform to the norm. And I'm so pleased that you've been able to share with our viewing and listening audience the fact that you can be yourself. You can be the best version of yourself. You just have to be true to yourself. And I think that's, if there's any takeaway from our conversation today, I think that's really a wonderful way for our viewing and listening audience to make a connection with you. So thank you so much for not only keeping it real for me and sharing definitely the person behind the logo, but also for giving us a little bit of encouragement to be our best self. So thank you really very much for that.
Always a pleasure chatting with you.
To you, our viewing and listening audience, I'd like to thank you for joining us today for this edition of Keeping It Real, introducing you to the person behind the logo. If you'd like to connect with our guest, you'll find Layne's contact information in the description portion below. I'm Trish Tonai, author, artist, and the founder and host for the series. And if you're interested in sharing your business story, visit our website at shareyourstories.online and subscribe to our channel, Business Mentorship, Keeping It Real. Thanks again for tuning in, and we look forward to meeting you next time when we share another great idea.